Can't just be he's a bully, he's a piece of shit, I hate him. Why is he talking about this publicly? If you're going to come out and say that you have a really deep-seated hatred for one of the two people running for president, if you're going to express yourself about it and alienate 50% of the country, which it seems like it is, you're going to have to do better than that. You should have some specific things. Like he did some real estate deals with people in New York. Let me tell you what he did to fuck blow over.
I would love to hear it.
He did this and that.
Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?"
When Greg Gutfeld and the Joe Rogan Experience host Joe Rogan set their sights on Robert De Niro, they didn't tiptoe around their opinions. Whether you see it as heartfelt conviction or sharp showmanship, the moment two fearless voices with powerful platforms meet a Hollywood heavyweight known for his intense presence, you can expect sparks. They reshaped De Niro's stern, no-nonsense delivery into bold comedy, transforming the exchange into a spirited roast that sizzled brighter than his usual morning espresso. For anyone curious about watching a legendary film star face pointed criticism as it happens, this was the scene. Boisterous, cutting, and utterly impossible to tune out.
I like more on a Sunday than some old guy spewing F-bombs.
This guy should not be president, period.
And when you say that, folks on Fox come after you. I remember the Tonys when he got up there and cursed. A lot of criticism of you. Okay, well, you know, this is cable, so it's not an FCC violation, but it is still a Sunday morning.
That was Bobby De Niro promoting his new movie, Grumpy Old Man 7, More Strained Pea.
There was a time when Robert De Niro defined raw, hard-edged filmmaking, like the spirit of a dimly lit New York alley captured on screen, controlled, powerful, and impossible to ignore. A single look from him could summon that unforgettable taxi driver line, "You talking to me?" Lately, however, he sometimes appears less like the commanding force he once was, and more like a recurring figure in Hollywood's culture clashes. Somewhere along the way, from iconic crime boss to frequent headline subject, the narrative changed. And it didn't take much for Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld to spin it into comedic fodder. When two commentators with completely different approaches both take aim, it stops feeling like simple analysis and starts resembling a prime-time showdown, boisterous, dramatic, and hard to overlook.
And De Niro, how stupid is he without a script? Isn't that amazing? I used to think, wow, that guy's brilliant. But once you take the words away from him, he is so stupid. Then when he says, impeachment will make America great again, and everybody's, how intellectually deprived he is. He's a coke-addled simpleton, without a script. It is hysterical.
Does he have a big coke problem?
No, I just read that article that you sent me about the last nights of John Belushi and how De Niro was there and just basically partied with him and then split. And it's just like, now I just think of him as a really stupid.
When he ramps up, Robert De Niro often speaks as if he's been handed the role of the country's moral umpire. Recently, though, the most noticeable trait seems to be the sheer volume behind his words. This is the actor who once dominated a scene through quiet intensity alone. No shouting, no notes, just a piercing gaze and total command. Now, when he criticizes whoever happens to be in power, it sometimes comes across as though he's relying on caffeine and prepared remarks to carry him across the finish line.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt's convinced that Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and then he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him.
Of course Kurt thinks that.
That's what Kurt thinks that.
Kurt thinks that about every fucking thing that happens in the world.
I think Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men.
And
they want to yell at everybody.
And he's completely... Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Who told him that was a good idea?
And then he starts yelling at regular people.
At this point, Robert De Niro can resemble that family member at Thanksgiving who monopolizes the dinner table with non-stop political arguments, except he's speaking to a national audience instead of passing the stuffing. It feels a bit like browsing an outspoken grandfather's social media post, only this one has Academy Awards on the shelf. You might think that after earning such prestigious honors, someone would take a step back. Not in his case. Instead of softening his approach, he seems to double down, raising the intensity as though sheer loudness is proof he still commands the spotlight.
Robert De Niro, there's something about being a star where you think your opinion's more important than anybody else's, and you can go give a press conference, and he obviously has been very vocal from 2016 that he hates Trump for whatever reason. Maybe they have some personal thing.
You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside? No way.
Now he's like holding press conferences. Now everyone's heckling him everywhere he goes.
That's so bad.
Like instead of just being this cranky old liberal, now you're this guy that is yelling at other people that are Trump supporters, and they're yelling at you. Like you've opened yourself up to this nonsense. Why?
Trying to be gentlemen in this world. The Democrats, you are gangsters. You are gangsters.
Amid his usual mix of offbeat theories and wild game cooking talk, Joe Rogan couldn't pass up the opportunity to tease. Robert De Niro, once celebrated for restrained, simmering intensity, now striving to dominate the volume of the room, can come across less as evolution and more as a bid for relevance. Rogan didn't even need a full-blown tirade. A puzzled expression did most of the work. At the same time, Greg Gutfeld, master of dry wit, simply gestured at the unfolding drama. With every fiery public remark, De Niro appears to provide them with new punchlines, prompting some observers to swap admiration for a synchronized eye roll.
I think that's starting to affect Hollywood a little bit, to where now if you look at the most successful people, it is the realest people. You know, people might not even like, say, a Donald Trump, but people are gravitated because they think, hey, man, this is him. This is real.
I think the best thing for people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the fuck up. Because as soon as they start talking, people like, as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that fucking microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't want to hear, I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like,
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think this through. Like, this is, and he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this.
The punchline? Robert De Niro's foray into politics sometimes comes off less as courage and more like a wealthy celebrity lecturing on oppression from the comfort of his plush surroundings. Warning about climate change before slipping into a chauffeur-driven ride to a luxury getaway hardly reads as revolutionary. The same actor who once vanished completely into his characters now often shows up as a louder, angrier version of himself on TV, clinging to relevance like the last cannoli at a mob wedding. If there were an award for the least self-aware platform use, he'd probably take it, and still find a way to thank Martin Scorsese in his acceptance speech.
This is what moms call bad language, or what producers call great TV. The plan, get an irrational figure at peak derangement and goad him into snapping. It's like Cabaret for the chronically obsessed. It's like when you were a kid and would pull wheelies on Old Man Johnson's front yard. Finally, he just cracks. He's holding a spatula, chasing you around in his open robe. That's the De Niro CNN business model in a nutshell. Money for nothing and clicks for free. Of course, the real story is how accusations of Trump's nutty behavior always ends up with the accusers acting nuttier. De Niro calls Trump crazy as he goes crazy.
The real irony is that Robert De Niro can sometimes feel like a caricature of his own roles, channeling all the intensity without the precision, as if winging it without a plan. He's moved from the quiet, commanding presence of a mob boss to being the loudest person in the room, and figures like Greg Gutfeld and Joe Rogan don't even need to weigh in. The spectacle speaks for itself. The subtle authority that once made him iconic now seems swapped for sheer volume, transforming a legend into something that borders on a meme, like an exaggerated follow-up to Taxi Driver.
Just being a real person talking shit.
Yeah.
The professional shit talkers.
Yeah.
You know, having fun, being silly, talking shit about things. And actors are not that. They're weird people, man. And the one thing that's harming them in Hollywood is that they get exposed for being who they really are. And a lot of these people that pretend to be all, you know, clean cut and you find out they're into freaky shit. And, you know, it's like.
And it's easier to expose stuff now.
Let's face it, Robert De Niro's recent work feels less like a daring new chapter and more like a replay of past highlights. The spark seems dimmer, and those once magnetic pauses have been replaced by familiar murmurs and squints that don't always hit the mark. His reputation still commands attention, and studios eagerly lean on nostalgia with every return to form headline, but the question remains, Does that old magic truly linger?
It's no longer down with Trump. It's Trump.
It kills me. Talk about persuasive. Really, I was on the fence about Trump, but then I decided to really listen to one of the great generational leaders of American pop culture. And the clenched fists at the end, that really drove it home. It looked like he was pressing a 2-pound weight in a Jenny Craig commercial.
Oh, my God.
Look at it again. It's so cute. It's like he found out the restaurants are...
It's the lectures that push this tragicomic moment over the edge. Robert De Niro, whose fame was forged portraying mobsters and volatile criminals, now taking the stage to lecture the world on ethics and manners. The contrast is almost absurd, like Gordon Ramsay leading a calm meditation class or Walter White handing out business advice. The boldness is striking. Just striking enough to make you pause.
And when old people are tired and cranky, they just want everyone to listen to them, and they don't have time to have a calm conversation, and you state out your opinion, I'll state my opinion, let's see where we have common ground. Get off my lawn! And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's being this old grumpy man that is so lost that he thinks it's a good idea to stand in front of a bunch of people on the street and give a speech on camera about how bad Donald Trump is. With all the shit that's going in the world.
That I know.
All the craziness of the world.
Right now.
It all hit its peak at just the right moment. The more seriously Robert De Niro approaches a satirical setting, the more absurd it becomes. Greg Gutfeld didn't need any elaborate setup. He simply held up a mirror, letting the audience witness De Niro mid-rant, veins standing out as if he were auditioning for a high-pressure drama. Even something as mundane as a grocery list comes across like a declaration of war. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan reacts with the patience of a parent watching a toddler throw a tantrum at Starbucks. One raised eyebrow, no competition. The scene unfolds less like a confrontation and more like an angry squirrel shouting at a bear, loud, theatrical, and strangely entertaining, but hardly threatening.
I handed to CNN. It got me to watch, and by having it on the 5, it quadrupled their audience. Congrats to Stelter and CNN for that 1 minute. You had a hit. So, Dana, shall I quote Scott Adams?
Oh, yeah, I was thirsty.
Okay.
Drink.
He claims that because we've entered a new phase where not liking Trump is just a lifestyle. So you're a lifestyle resistor because when you...
You don't even have to have a reason.
Yeah, so when he kept saying, why, he's just going, F him, F him.
Robert De Niro keeps barreling toward irrelevance. Fists tight, brows locked, that I remember when actors had class glare firmly in place while proving he's no longer in that league. He delivers his lines like a Shakespearean hero on a mountaintop, but it often comes across more like a grumpy New Yorker in sweatpants attempting King Lear at a discount community theater. He seems convinced he's shaking the world, yet the only audience is a camera. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld watch from the sidelines, entertained, as he shadowboxes with headlines on an iPad and wages war against arguments no one else is making. It's like showing up to a protest where even the organizer forgot the cause.
He's like, fuck you, you're a gangster. Go fuck you. Like,
it's crazy that that's the guy
what?
from Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
You know what also I think those guys have no friends. I think the only friends they have are Hollywood phonies. And so you're in this weird world where everybody you talk to is a phony and you become a phony and everyone's a phony and your grasp on reality is very slippery. And you're...
Here's the kicker. Every time Robert De Niro thinks he's dropping a bombshell, it mostly highlights his own ego. Joe Rogan mutters, wait, what's he mad about now? And suddenly his most consistent act is unintentional comedy. He's like a karaoke guy convinced he's nailing it while everyone looks away. Greg Gutfeld barely needs writers. De Niro's rants do the work for him. The once commanding screen presence now trades quiet intensity for loud lectures, shouting from a moral mountaintop that critics hear as a privileged balcony. Rogan's calm and Gutfeld's sly grin let him unravel himself. The man who once owned a room in silence now can't stop talking. Credit for commitment, just to volume over gravity.